Hello and welcome back to the Bad Back Gardener. Today we're going to be planting some early vegetables. We're going to plant some white onions, and then we're going to plant some also some lettuce and some radishes in the garden here. I've already tilled up the bed, kind of prepped the soil to work with here, so I don't have to watch that process again. But we'll get to planting here. I'm going to plant the onions on the other side here along with my peas that you may have seen me plant in another video. And then on this end here I will plant some lettuce and some radishes here. So we'll get started on that. Okay, what I like to do for my onions is I will take and make almost like a mound, a long skinny mound. And that's what I'll plant them in. They tend to seem to get bigger that way for me because they have room to spread out more. If I plant them deep into the ground, the ground tends to hold them back a little bit. I don't think they get quite as big that way. But so what I'll do is I'll make a mound the whole way down, and then I'll plant them in that mound. Not real deep either. I may plant them halfway in. I find that they just do better that way. So that's what I'll do now. I'll go ahead and start making the mound for that. So sometimes I find it works better if you just have something to help you here to mound them up here. You just gotta watch I don't hit my peas, which are starting to poke through here. Leveled off just a little bit there. All right. Actually, what I'm going to do first, take a little. Onions like plenty of fertilizer and water, so I'm going to give it a little bit of fertilizer here. Mix that in. I'm actually going to redo that again because I forgot to put the fertilizer in. Alright. And I'm also, at the same time, going to take a little bit of this is water crystals here. I'm going to put a little bit in there because they like a lot of water, so this will help hold it in during the drier parts. Don't need a whole lot of that. Okay, mix that in a little bit. Now I'll go back and make my mounds again here. So now level out just a little bit. Okay. Now we'll take our white onions. I did get a bag of purple onions this year too, so I'll be planting those too. But right now I'm just going to stick the white onions in. Basically that's about as far as I'm planting them. Just planting them about halfway down the bulb. About halfway in. About every 3 inches. A lot of these will get eaten up before they even get too big, because my family likes the green onions, so they'll probably eat a good bit of them. But I like to grow them bigger because I end up using them in my salsa some. So I like the green onions in my salsa. So the ones I can get big is ones I use in the salsa. A lot of times I use the smaller green ones in the salsa too, but we get them bigger for the fall when I'm canning salsa. dirt against them a little bit here so they don't fall out or dig out here. Alrighty, so that's that section planted. There we go. Now I'll do the other side the same way. You can mix it in. Okay, first we'll do some lettuce here. Put in a little bit of fertilizer here. Just going to plant a couple of rows of lettuce for right now so we don't get too much at one time. I'll mix in a little bit of the water crystals just to kind of help with the watering as it goes by. As the summer gets drier, that might help them last a little bit longer. Alright, we'll give that a good mix in here. Level it back out. Okay, now how I make my rows, I'll take just a board. This is kind of like a board that's been cut into a triangle almost, and you can use any kind of board, just angled a little bit different. But what I'll do with it is I'm going to use this to make my groove here to where I'm going to plant my seeds in. So there's one. We'll plant a little bit wider than that. Probably about a good 8 to 10 inches away from each other here. Alright, so there's my two grooves. So here's this lettuce. It's called Matina Sweet. It's a butterhead type lettuce. It was from Territorial Seed Company. It's called Matina Sweet. I'm just gonna try and spread it out like best I can here, plant it like every inch or so with the seeds. But a lot of times you'll get 2 or 3 to drop in, and I'm not trying to pick these things out. They're a little too small for that. Guess I just planted some over here too. The wind blew my seeds over, and I'm not picking them out, so we're gonna get lettuce over there too. All right, so what I like to do for the top of these, rather than push the dirt over, which would probably be fine, because it's packed pretty good, but there are some bigger things in here still from the topsoil that I had gotten in. But there's some bigger lumps, a few rocks here and there. So I'd rather put something over top of them that they'll have an easier time coming up through. Plus, by putting, what I use is the seed starting mix. By putting the seed starting mix in there, I can also see, because it's a different color, I can see where my rows are then, so I don't do anything here until they come up, and I can tell where my lettuce is planted. So, and then I can just put a little layer on that. You don't want to go too much soil in there. You only want to be buried about an eighth to maybe a quarter at most on these smaller seeds like that. Now I'll pat them down a little bit. And that's also because there's a little bit of a trench there. When it gets watered, it will hold the seeds from washing away and hold the water in too to give them a good water. So next we'll move on to the radishes. I'm going to plant a few rows of radishes. I usually only I'll plant some radishes now, and then probably in a couple of weeks I'll plant them. And then after that, that's about it for the radishes. I'll get hopefully a nice little harvest here early, but once the weather warms up, they won't grow as well, and you know, they don't come out as nice. So we'll grow some radishes here. Any more fertilizer in it, it tends to grow tops, and then the bottom of the radishes tend not to grow as big, or you get all tops, you don't get any radishes at all. So I ain't gonna put anything extra as far as fertilizer in this section here. All right. And these radishes here, this is a red radish. It's called Early Scarlet Globe. Again, spacing about every inch or so. It's a little easier with these seeds, they're a little bit bigger. Alright, 2 rows of that kind. And then I'll plant a row of this kind. It's Sparkler White Tip is what this one's called. That's about it for that pack there. And again, now I will take the seed starting formula. I'm just going to put it down here. I'll pack them down a little bit. That's about it for this planting of radishes, onions, and lettuce. So just remember, if your back ain't hurting, you ain't working.